Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, this is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Gazprom reportedly declares force majeure. For those of you that don't know what force majeure is when you cannot fulfill your contract due to things that happen that are out of your control. And they will halt gas flows to Germany indefinitely. Now, we were all waiting for the 22nd of July, which was supposed to be the date that the maintenance that was being done on the gas pipeline was supposed to be done, and Russia was supposed to resume gas flows back into Germany. Well, now they've said that they're declaring force majeure because they can't get a hold of the parts in order to fix the pipeline, and that they will cease to send gas to Germany indefinitely. Why is this important to us here in the United States and other parts of the world? Germany depends on Russia for, I believe it's about 40 or 50% of the natural gas that they get. Now, they've already taken many measures in order to reduce their need for natural gas within their own country, like dimming the lights, telling landlords to bring down the thermostats, right? Putting restrictions on how much gas you can use, putting restrictions on how long you can take hot showers for, etc. And that was before, when they were getting the gas. Now that they're not going to be getting it at all, it's going to get a lot worse. And what worries me is that as their economies falter and eventually causes the implosion of their economy and the economy within the EU, it's going to affect us here a lot because we are intertwined globally. That's one of the things that I don't like about globalism, is that if something happens over here, if a domino falls over here, it's eventually going to make it to where you are. So here it says, already days before the July 22nd European, and they say doomsday, when the scheduled Russian 10-day maintenance of the crucial Nord Stream pipeline to Germany is slated to end, but which was thrown into deep doubt given Gazprom recently said that it can no longer guarantee its good functioning due to crucial turbines being previously held up in Canada related to sanctions. So I covered this on a previous video that Russia was waiting on a turbine that was being repaired in Canada, and without that turbine they cannot restart the pipeline. And because of the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia, Canada was not sending the turbine to them, even though it belonged to Russia. However, in that same video, I read a short excerpt from an article that said that Canada had gone ahead and said, yes, we're going to go ahead and ship you that turbine. Now, I don't know if they ever did ship that turbine to them, but it seems here that Russia does not have it in order to be able to continue to give or send gas, not give, send and sell gas to Germany. Now, I don't know if this is a decision that they had already made before they even started the maintenance of the pipeline, right? It might have just been a guise for them to have a reason to shut it down and then keep it shut down. But this is what's happening. The Russian energy giant has declared force majeure to one major European customer, and they are going to feel the pain even more, ladies and gentlemen. I've been saying that in Germany, if they don't get this settled, they're going to have a very cold winter. And they are already developing what are called like hot spots, where hot places where people can go warm up, where they can actually leave their homes because they're cold, and they can go warm up in a centralized location before going back home and facing the cold again. It says that, simply put, Gazprom declared extraordinary and extreme circumstances to void itself from all contractual obligations to this customer. Thus, the gas will stop flowing indefinitely. As Reuters reports in a breaking development today, Monday, Russian gas export monopoly Gazprom has declared force majeure on gas pipelines or gas supplies to Europe to at least one major customer starting June 14th. So that was already a few days ago, according to the letter seen by Reuters. The letter is dated July 14th. It said the force majeure measure, a clause invoked when a business is hit by something beyond its control, was effective from deliveries starting from June 14. I think that something is going to happen within one of the I want to call it one of the countries within the European Union, but it's like the EU as a whole. But something's going to happen where their economy is going to falter, it's going to implode, and then it's going to create a domino effect within the European Union itself, and eventually it's going to make it here to the United States. All right, there's going to be a great economic collapse. We've all been talking about this for a while, and actually I'm going to have a short video after this one with Mr. Armstrong, pretty much saying what it is that we can expect. I don't want to include it with this one because it really doesn't have much to do with the gas line, but it'll be a separate video on its own. And on that video, I'll go ahead and cover the markets real quick, all right? But here it says, as we've been detailing, German authorities have of late taken unprecedented steps in anticipation of an enduring Russian gas halt, essentially dimming the lights across the country, like literally dimming the lights across the country, which has included everything from limiting hot water to shutting down swimming pools to quite literally dimming city street lights as it entered alarm stage over dwindling supplies of natural gas. It seems this letter declared its legal release from supply obligations going back to June 14th is in preparation for definitive action on July 22nd, meaning they're not turning the gas back on. This was Germany's greatest fear, in my opinion, namely that the pipeline's operations are likely to remain suspended past the scheduled reboot supply back online designated date. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand this. If there was someone that was your sworn enemy that was putting sanctions on you, right? Not as an individual, but like I say, country, but that was putting sanctions on you and was trying to cripple your economy and destroy your economy, why would you feel obligated to supply that person or that country that considers themselves your adversary, your sworn enemy? Why should you feel obligated to supply them with anything? I mean, the gas belongs to Russia. It's on Russian land. Why should they have to sell it? Well, in this case, they don't, and they've decided that they will not. So this is where sanctions fail. Leaders look at this. I hate to call them leaders, but that's what people know them as because they're elected. And a lot of them probably aren't elected, but I digress. But our leaders take these actions on our behalf, in our name, and they don't look at the secondary, tertiary, and fourth order effects of the actions that they're taking in the here and now. And who pays the price? Well, I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, that those that are in government in Germany and those that are in government in any nation that poses sanctions on any other nations that then cause themselves harm, they still have gas. They still have heat. They can still go in their swimming pools. I'm sure. Look at Sri Lanka. When they took over that government building, that it had a pristine swimming pool in it while the population was starving, no fuel and no gas. Those leaders that make those decisions, they don't face the consequences that the people that they are representing face. So ask yourself, why is Russia obligated to provide anything with anything? It's theirs. Put yourself in their place. What they did in Ukraine, whatever, yes. Don't agree with violence at all. I don't condone violence whatsoever. But ask yourselves, what is the history of that situation? Look back. Don't only listen to what the pundits and the mainstream media who want to shape your thought say, but actually look back and do your own research and see why it is that what has happened has happened. In an analysis from earlier this month, UBS economists laid out a detailed vision of what they see happening in Russia as Russia halts gas deliveries to Europe. It would reduce corporate earnings. This is where the financial part or the economy part comes in, ladies and gentlemen. It would reduce corporate earnings by more than 15%. The market sell-off would exceed 20% in the stocks 600, and the euro would drop to 90 cents. That's about 10% from where it is now. The rush for safe assets would drive benchmark German bond yields to 0%, they wrote. Now, the implications of the euro dropping to 90 cents means that the US dollar, or the Dixie, will become stronger, making it even more difficult to developing nations to pay back their dollar-denominated debts. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, it's a world that is intertwined, and when something happens in one place, it's going to affect pretty much the entire world. A stronger dollar, in reality, is not good for the world. And it's not good for the U.S. in a way, because number one, is that stronger dollar that we are experiencing right now, is that making the cost of your food and the things that you need to live any cheaper? No, it's not. We are still facing price inflation here in the United States, even with a strong dollar. But what's even more important to understand is that these countries, these developing nations that took out loans in dollars, now have to exert more labor in order to buy those dollars to pay back the loans. And if they default and start defaulting in mass, it's going to hurt the investors that invested in them, of which a large percentage are firms here in the United States of America and all over the world. So we'll start seeing bankrupts after bankrupts, defaults after defaults, and here comes the economic collapse that many of us have been talking about. A lot of people look at the stock market as a barometer of how the economy or our financial system is doing, but it's really more the debt market. It's the debt market that you really have to look at, because when that starts to go, that's when everything goes, ladies and gentlemen. They say here, meanwhile, the Paris-based International Energy Agency, the IEA, is still, even amid this red alert crisis for Europe, bizarrely focused on responding to the emergency in a way consistent with the EU's climate ambitions. So what they're saying here, that even though this is a huge emergency, and this is huge, they're still saying, well, we should still consider going green. Yes, we know that winter is right around the corner and that people will more than likely freeze. And we know that we need gas in order to develop these green initiatives, meaning that without gas, without this energy that comes from the ground, we can't build our turbines, we can't build our solar panels, we can't build our inverters. Even though we need that, let's still concentrate on green energy, ladies and gentlemen, because that's going to save everything. They've been working on green energy for decades now, and they still don't have what they need to run the country. What makes them think they're going to get what they need here in the next few months before winter hits? They're not. Impossible. This, as Germany and other European populations are about to clearly enter an extremely difficult winter, to put it mildly. The world is experiencing the first truly global energy crisis in history, and as the IEA has been warning for many months, the situation is especially perilous in Europe, which is at the epicenter of the energy market turmoil. I'm particularly concerned about the months ahead, and they should be concerned about the months ahead. And it says here that the IEA pointed out that Russia was preventing a significant amount of gas from reaching Europe, and we raised the alarm further in January. And then the IEA also pointed out a report that said these are some of the things that you should do. And I just want to show you this report, ladies and gentlemen, so that you can see how most of the things, in my opinion, is just ridiculous. So they came out with a 10-point report saying this is what you should do to get ready for Russia shutting out its gas, or shutting off its gas. No new gas supplies with Russia. And of course, they haven't done any new gas supplies with Russia. Okay? Replace Russian supplies with gas from alternative sources. Well, they failed to understand that the alternative sources that were shipping, or that are shipping gas to Germany, cannot produce the amount of gas to replace what they were reliant on from Russia. So even at full capacity, the United States could not produce the amount of liquefied natural gas to be able to ship over to Germany than what they were getting from Russia. You see, they make these decisions. It's almost like knee-jerk reactions when they do this. They make these decisions without looking at what I said earlier, the second, tertiary, and fourth order effects of what's going to happen when they follow through with these decisions. Number 3, introduce minimum gas storage obligations to enhance market resilience. Well, they were trying to fill up their tanks, getting ready for winter, but now they're dipping into those reserves that they had built up, and they weren't even half built up as of yet. Number 4, accelerate the deployment of new wind and solar projects. Right. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Accelerate the deployment of new wind and solar projects. You're going to build enough turbines and solar panels to replace all of the gas that you were getting from Russia in what? Just a matter of a few months. Even if they said this in January, I'm not sure when they said this, even if they said this in January, they would not be able to do this in less than a year to be able to replace that. And they know this, ladies and gentlemen. They know this. They have to know this. This is what they do for a living. This is what their expertise is. But I'm sure it's probably making a lot of windmill factories or windmill companies and solar companies a lot of money if they can even get the parts to make the solar panels and the windmills. Number 5, maximize generation from existing dispatchable low emission sources, bioenergy and nuclear. Well, they can only run them as much as they can run them. Number 6, enact short-term measures to shelter vulnerable electricity consumers from high prices. Well, the only way that they can do that is by printing more money through their central bank, and eventually that will realize itself in the inflation of the prices of the goods that they purchase, including that energy itself. That's the only thing that they can do to shelter their customers from high prices. And if they put price controls, then it's going to be even worse because there's going to be even more scarcity. So this is not going to work for them, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion. Speed up the replacement of gas boilers with heat pumps. Okay? Accelerate energy efficient improvements in buildings and industries, something that would probably take years. Encourage a temporary thermostat adjustment by consumers. Too little, too late, ladies and gentlemen. Set up efforts to diversify and decarbonize sources of power system. They're still in this green energy thing, ladies and gentlemen, even though it's what's gotten them in the problem that they're in already. Germany can be energy efficient as far as I'm concerned. They can be energy efficient. They have what they need in order to be able to power everything that they need in industry and to be able to provide enough energy to the people that live there. However, again, I go back to the decisions that their leaders make are decisions that are not thought out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years to come. And who pays the price? Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be the citizens of that country, and eventually it will be the citizens of this country because we are globally intertwined, unfortunately. I'm hoping that in my lifetime that will reverse, but right now we will pay the price for this just as much as they will, just not right now, but later on. So prepare. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out. God bless.